Welcome everyone. May is Sexual Assault Prevention Month and we are here with another interview. Today, we are going to be talking about sexual violence and men. And so I have got our Mending Program Coordinator, Lucas here. Hello and welcome.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lucas Schaefer. I'm the Mending Program Coordinator at the Kawartha Sexual Assault Center. So happy to be here today.
Okay, Lucas, can you talk a little bit about the work that you do with the center?
Definitely. So I think the best way to explain that is to go into what the Mending Program is. So the Mending Program is a male leadership program that engages men in ending gender-based violence. And what that means is learning and having discussions that men don't usually get to have about gender-based violence, what it is, what it looks like, and different topics that are surrounding that. We talk about masculinity and what we're told being a man looks like in our society and how that intersects with gender-based and sexual violence. We talk about bystander intervention. How can we recognize the violence that we see in our everyday lives and make an attempt to kind of interact with it and stop that harm from happening. And we also talk about consent and healthy relationships, as well as how to have these conversations with guys in our everyday life, right? It's just learning about these topics and realizing the power that we have and redirecting and utilizing that power for good.
Mm-hmm. And so, this is a very important group, and we've heard it from countless times from men being involved in this group. But maybe some people out there are thinking, what's the point of mending? What's the point of a male exclusive group? What is your answer to that?
Wow, thank you, Alicia. Yeah, no, and we do get that question a lot, right? Like, why is this knowledge and this training exclusive to men, right? Like, why do we have that qualifier of being male identified to be a part of it? Well, it's that, like, when we're talking about sexual violence, we always bring like who we are into that conversation. And if a part of who you are is being a man, well, you're going to have specific conversations about men's role in gender-based violence, right? We know that from different statistics in Stats Canada, and also that statistic can also be replicated in different cultures as well, that in nearly all of these incidences of sexual violence against women, the accused perpetrator was male, 99% of the time. So a lot of the program is kind of like surrounding this particular statistic and asking questions like, what does this mean? What does this not mean? Right? Because and a lot of the program is also responding to feelings that we have surrounding the statistic. This does not mean that all men are the perpetrators of sexual violence. All this is saying is that when you look at a perpetrator of sexual violence, they are most likely going to be male. And then we have questions about why that is. What is it about being a man, or what being a man is told to us have to do with this, right? And then when we start to have those questions, we start talking about the cultural influences and what men are kind of incentivized to do, right? We start talking about concepts and through exercises called like the man box, about ideals that serve to like incentivize this violence, right? And we also, so this is kind of men's role on the perpetration side of things. But we also know that gender-based and sexual violence is experienced by and perpetrated by all genders, right? We know that statistic of 1 in 3 women, 1 in 5 guys, and 1 in 2 trans people that we know will at some point experience sexual violence in their lifetime, right? And additionally, on top of the stigma and shame that survivors of sexual violence feel, male survivors also have to interact and process the process of like coming out or being able to share that with anyone, right? It's an additional kind of thing that male survivors have to suffer with, and it's tough. Yeah, and programs like Mending give men a space to talk about things that specifically affect them.
Yeah, like mending is definitely more of like the allyship part of it, where you can get together with other guys in spaces that very rarely exist, even in especially social media. And these are very difficult conversations even to have with friends and family, colleagues. And I know a lot of the guys in the program talk about those difficulties of learning this knowledge, learning about ways to have these conversations. Because when I see 99%, I shut down immediately. I go, well, that's not me. Hashtag not all men. How do you would then address that not all men kind of rhetoric that we've seen? And I've seen you also post a lot about this on our social media.
Thank you so much, Alicia. That's a very, very good question, and something that we have to talk about in the Mending program for sure, right? That is one of those reactions and responses to this fact, right? It's that this isn't about me. I don't perpetrate sexual violence. I don't need to talk about this. Why are you trying to talk about me with this? Are you trying to tell me that I'm it's this like automatic reaction, this defensiveness, this like you're attacking me for being male response that we have to unpack. And the way that I kind of like to respond to it is just inviting them further in, right? Like it's that, why do you think that you are isolated away from this violence happening, right? When you look at that statistic, you automatically say that isn't about me. But if you are a part of a social group, being a man, and this is what being a man is associated with, of course you're a part of it, right? Like, of course there's something that you can do to interact with this and make this not the case. In fact, like if you're a man and you're reading this, one of the responses that I really like empathize with and really like encourage almost is getting a tiny bit like upset or frustrated or angry that being a man is associated with doing this kind of violence. That's the thing that we want to change, right? We as a group talk about redefining what it means to be a man. And this is the fundamental thing that we are trying to redefine, that men perpetrate this kind of violence against men, against trans women, against women, against LGBTQ2 plus community members, and against everyone. We don't want that to be what defines a man. So you are not isolated from this violence. This is about you. Yes, all men.
I like to see it too that, yeah, not all men perpetrate sexual violence. The majority of sexual violence is perpetrated by men, but all men have the opportunity to get involved and to make a difference, even if it's in just the smallest, not laughing at an inappropriate statement, or just even going, when someone says something like that's, sexist or, inappropriate. Those are just the smallest things that you can do that's going to make a very large difference and ultimately open up a large conversation. And I think that's one of the biggest critiques that we get from Mending is that we wish this was longer. But when you hear 4 3-hour sessions, like that's 12 hours of discussion, it flies by pretty quick. And you probably don't believe it, but for all the Mending alumni out there, they're like, it does, it flies by. We also have to think about where we are with May being Sexual Assault Prevention Month. What does this mean for you, Lucas, as the Mending Program Coordinator? What does Sexual Assault Prevention Month mean to you?
Oh, thank you, Alicia. Prevention Month, especially like as a male allyship and leader program coordinator, like it's just like making sure that we have this critical conversation, when people ask themselves, like, how do we stop this violence? We need to involve every single person and recognize that people are going to have different roles in preventing this violence. And that difference is dependent on power and your identity. Men have a unique role in ending gender-based violence, and Mending is here to help you become more conscious of what that role is, right? We need as many leaders as we can and a diverse array of leaders.
And it's important to recognize too that with this male allyship group, like this isn't new. Women, especially Black women and trans and non-binary folks, have been doing this work, especially women of color have been doing this work for decades, for centuries, about ending sexual and gender-based violence. So I think men definitely get a lot of praise for doing the small thing. It's like, whoa, you did a male allyship group. Like, whoa, you're so woke. But like, this is built on the backs of survivors. Our center is built on the backs of survivors wanting to make a difference. And I think that, that's something that the Mending program really kind of highlights is that, we aren't special. We're here to make a difference. And that's so important.
Yeah, thank you so much for highlighting that, Alicia. A unique thing that male leaders can do is using their privilege and power to amplify the voices of those who are not recognized for the work that they've done, right? And it's totally reflected in um, like the support that we garner in the people who are participants of the program sharing what the program is and going, this is such important work, thank you so much, and that appreciation being disproportionate to other kind of like stems of prevention education, and also like sexual violence and rape crisis centers, right? Like it's just it's that little disproportionate like gratitude that's given to us. But what we can do is redirect that. Like, well, like I wouldn't be here today without like the decades and decades of work that women and Black and trans women have like done for me, right? Like this, the reason why I can be here and talk about this work and talk about what gender is and the systemic violence that informs like what being a man means in my culture is from the theory and the practice that these people have done for me, right? It's all just about becoming more conscious and utilizing that attention that people see, that people give you, and redirecting that for the betterment of everyone.
Yeah. So Lucas, with Sexual Assault Prevention Month, I want to hear if there is a male survivor out there of sexual and gender-based violence that's out there listening, whether they've disclosed that violence to someone else or whether they're navigating it in the home right now. What is your message to them for Sexual Assault Prevention Month?
Wow, thank you, Alicia. I was saying before that like your role in ending gender-based violence is very personal and it's dependent on who you are. And if you are a male survivor of gender-based violence, the first thing that I want to say is I believe you, and that there are people that believe you as well. We at our center provide 3 like crisis support lines, both a phone line, text line, and online web chat that you can access and have immediate support, right? But I also just want to say that like your role in ending this violence is living. Like I'm not going to be expecting you to do anything else except take care of yourself in light of this violence, right? And that if a part of your journey and like processing and healing from this is getting involved and talking to other men about like how we can how we can end this together, then I affirm that as well. But just know that like living is enough, survival is enough.
Mhm. And what's your message for Sexual Assault Prevention Month for the male allies out there that are wanting to get involved and make a difference and even support maybe a survivor in their life? What is your message for them?
I would say, please connect, right? Like if you have this passion and you have this drive to want to interact and prevent and be a supportive person for the people who have experienced sexual and gender-based violence in your life, connect with me, the Mending Coordinator. You can reach me either at my email, which is lschaefer@kawarthasac.ca, or you can connect with me by going to the Kawartha Sexual Assault Center website and going to the .com/mending tab, and there should be a way to connect with me there. But we have the upcoming mending cohorts. There's always something to look forward to. We also have the online self-directed training course that you can find and navigate on the website as well. But just what I'll say to them is keep that fire going, right? Listen to yourself. If you're recognizing this and going that this is important and I want to do something, stoke that, right? Stoke that and keep that fire burning.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Lucas, our Mending Program Coordinator, here talking today about Sexual Assault Prevention Month and men's role within that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.